This is Kev Millar from the 2004 World Champion Boston Red Sox, and you're listening to Boston's Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
Boston Big Three, episode 74, brought to you by Ride the Wave Media, presented by Ride the Wave Media, should I say, and then brought to you by the Boston's Big Three website, bostonsbig3.com. Beta launch about a week ago. We have pretty good numbers out of that. We are still in the process of cleaning everything up, giving everyone merchandising stuff, a lot of behind the scenes stuff that before we get a clean website out there. But if you want to check it out, bostonsbig3.com. We do have merch up right now, available for purchase. And we have a lot more coming soon. Like we said, it was a beta launch. Had a couple designs out there, but the designs are going to be cooking. I know Boston's Big Three itself has its own line. GRD has his own line. And Spike King, do you have your own line?
Not yet. That's being worked on. That's
I
take my time.
Podcasts around the wave, personalities around the wave, Instagram followers. I know we're branching out to some other people in the near future. Just be on the lookout, bostonsbig3.com. The Boston Celtics played basketball last night, and we were down 2-0 in the series, and the entire team fist fought each other basically. I think there was no actual altercation, but hey, they're scrapping. And that's what we need to see. I think that's the best thing that could happen to the Celtics at this point right now, is that Marcus Smart loses his mind in the locker room because he's the only one who shows every single night that he's out there to win a basketball game instead of getting an NBA highlight or show you're a bubble MVP.
Now, I don't think you're wrong about Marcus Smart there, because Marcus Smart obviously is the most fiery Celtic on the entire roster. He embodies the Boston, attitude and everything like that, and that's why the people love him so much. But I disagree with you on the first point you made. This could be probably the end of the Boston Celtics in this playoff run, because if you have an implosion after you're down 2-0, the series is still open. Like, you're going to that locker room and you're saying, like, hey guys, we should be like, looking forward to the next game. Like, it's still an open series. And then Marcus Smart has a panic attack, starts yelling at everybody, and Tatum gets involved, Brown gets involved. Brad Stevens needs to step up and actually lead this team. He's being a passive coach right now. It is not working in his favor.
Have you, Joe, do you have siblings?
Yeah.
All right. Have you fought with the siblings before? These guys have been in the bubble for 2 straight months, only hanging out with each other every single day. And you're going to have one public outburst. Like, yeah, I think this is way more heightened because we just saw what happened with the Clippers and all that came out, being like, oh, they were yelling at each other behind the scenes. I don't think the Celtics team's done. I think you're an insane. Actually, no. Let me get something on my chest before I get into this spiel. I see like a ton of people who do not watch the Boston Celtics until right now give their takes about the whole season as if they know what they're talking about. They have zero idea what they're talking about. They're like, oh, Tatum isn't going to be anything in his career. He's just a guy that can shoot the ball. I'm like, bro, he's 22 years old. Like, yes, we should win this year. I think we should make it.
To dominate and look great, and then all of a sudden you lose that lead, and then you implode in the locker room right after that. The Boston Celtics are over, Tyler. Tyler, the fact is this. Number one, Jason Tatum trying to be a hero. Shut up. Jason Tatum trying to be a hero in front of his 2-year-old son, like taking a 3-pointer. Again, Marcus Smart is the team. Marcus Smart drawing a foul to get that game tied in game 1. And then you take a dumbass 3 to end regulation when they could have just drove to the basket, either try to draw a foul or just get 2. And then yesterday, you end up having a humongous lead, and you can't even hang on to that. So how are you going to be winning games for the next couple games in this series? It's done. It's over. And I said yesterday, it shouldn't be the players. The players look tired. The players are having a lot of minutes. It's starting to catch up to them. It's starting to catch up to guys like Kemba. There's no depth. Look at what the Miami Heat did. They added Jay Crowder and Iguodala at the trade deadline. What do the Celtics do? Like they do every fucking year. They sit on their asses. They said, we'd rather have our main Red Claws team look fantastic up there with all these special picks, but not add any depth to the Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge needs to get heat. Danny Ainge needs to get heat for this team right now. We
gotta be the worst third quarter team in NBA history. We have to be.
I mean, the fact that the Boston Celtics can keep getting to the Eastern Conference Finals with all these little scrappy young teams, you shouldn't be blaming Brad Stevens. Yes, maybe you don't like his coaching so much, but they are missing pieces to get them over.
No, it's a leadership thing for me. It really is. Like, he's smart between the numbers, and he's smart, strategically and everything. But as a leader of men, he's not showing me anything this playoffs. And I know it's a hard situation with the bubble and everything, but Brad Stevens needs to step up right now. If any time is possible for him to actually become a valuable leader in this locker room, it's right fucking now.
All right. I cut out when I was going on my spiel. I don't know how much longer I can record on this computer, dude. This thing's toast. But I'm not sure what part I get to, so I'm going to kind of just summarize. I've seen so many people who don't watch the season, and they've only watched the Eastern Conference Finals. They're only saying this is Raptors season. They're the loudest people on the internet about saying what should happen with the Boston Celtics. I have watched probably, out of an 82-game season, 79 to 80 of the games. Like, I am a diehard Celtics fan. I will sit down and watch an entire game, nothing on music. I check my phone, just tuned into the game. Right now, I agree. Brad Stevens, I don't see how you can talk to Brad Stevens and get fired up and like want to run through a brick wall or something like that. Like, he's not a player's coach. He's more of like a chess player or something like that.
Bill Belichick.
And then people are also forgetting Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the NBA. You mean like when it's gonna be the top 4 teams rest in the league? I think that all the Celtics fans forget about. There's only 4 teams left, and if you're losing your mind about we're the 4th best team in the NBA, what are you doing? I understand that this is Boston. We win championships. This is what we are accustomed to. Jimmy Butler is a dog. The Miami Heat have a unbelievably built team, and they're young. They're going to be here for a long time. They had the pieces that they needed to work, and they're working right now. Like I said, Eric Spoelstra, phenomenal coach. You can't even doubt that. And then it comes down to the Celtics. I think this is like, Joe, I know you disagree, but this is like the best thing that's going to happen in the locker room. Everyone's getting mad at each other, and I already saw as soon as anything happens, remember when Kyrie was here and they yelled at each other? Kyrie's not there. This is a whole different time. It's a year later. Gordon Hayward's coming back to the lineup. I saw a report he could be back game 3, probably game 4. Once he comes back, even if he's not used, he's a decoy. That opens Kemba's game. That means Jalen and Jason don't get double teamed every time they catch the ball in the wing. That means that Tice, he's going to be wide open for like a backdoor lob again because Bam's going to have to help on penetration. Gordon Hayward, like him or not, he's valuable to this Celtics team. He had all this injury history. He's not going to, he could get 20 a night. I don't think he's going to be getting 20 a night. He's just another person that is an offensive weapon. And that means I think once Hayward comes back, teams aren't going to be able to go to zone. And if they are, Gordon Hayward knows how to play his zone. He's the only one of the Celtics, minus Kemba Walker, but he's not really doing it, who's fine with taking a mid-range, who's fine with taking a pull-up jump shot from the free throw line. If you watch the zone, it's like an extended 3-2. They're not even doing a 2-3 or anything like that. And that free throw line is wide open. Smart is literally at the top of his jump shot, and he passes it out of a mid-range free throw. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't know when this was decided that a mid-range is a bad shot in basketball, an uncontested mid-range shot, when that's the same as a dunk. It's the same as a layup. It's the same as anywhere behind the three-point line. You're just wide open, and some statistical moron that never touched a basketball in his life, it's like, it's a bad shot in basketball. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm sure that the coaches and stuff, you do try to get away from the mid-range, but if you're wide open and it's going to be the same points as a layup, and it's probably a higher contested shot if you were driving, why not take the open one? They just need to go back to what they were doing. There were so many highs on this Celtics team. They go down 2-0, and Babs already said they're done. They very well could be. I don't think they're done. They just haven't been playing with energy. I don't know. I just hate the fact that people who don't watch the Celtics games are the loudest about why they should be like.
They don't play with energy. They play with energy last night. That's why they had a humongous lead, and they absolutely blew it. This team cannot hold leads.
Where was the energy, though? They can't. The second half, they saved the energy for the fight in the locker room.
The second half is because all these players have been worn out and grinded out because they don't have the depth that comes off the bench to help them out. And you're drinking this Kool-Aid thinking Gordon Hayward's going to be your Lord and Savior. And then he might come back game 3. He might come back game 4.
I mean, it's ridiculous if you don't think he's going to spread out. Gordon Hayward is playing literally the best basketball he ever played in the bubble. He was getting 20 points a game like that. It was crazy. He was literally like playing the Utah Gordon Hayward that everybody says, Utah Hayward's back. No. The bubble Hayward was literally the best Hayward we ever had. And then he gets hurt. He was playing confident out of his mind. The whole meme was like, his wife isn't there and he can play video games. But maybe that's what you need. He's back in the bubble, and I hope to God he comes back for game 3. Because if he doesn't come back to game 3, I know it's a sprained ankle. I know ankles hurt. You're in the bubble. You're an NBA player. You had rehab for like a month. You're telling me it still hurts this bad that you can't play? Like, I don't know, maybe a minutes restriction, 15 a night, just to be out there and spread out the thing. If you were like a 2K animation, you just stand in the corner, people will drive, people will kick it, you hit a corner 3. That's all we need to even break up a zone, because if Hayward's out there, maybe we rattle off 6-8 straight points. And maybe Hayward's like, with Hayward out there, maybe Miami's like, we need to go back to man. and the man happens, you can't double without trying to do a drive and kick. Hayward opens up so much more of this game than people give him credit for. It's ridiculous.
Let me tell you something, Tyler. If this team gets swept, if this team gets swept, if this team loses in 5, think about the turnaround. September, October, November, December. It's going to come quick. December basketball is going to come real quick. How is this team going to groove in the offseason? How is this team going to build their chemistry back together? Because if you're imploding right like that and that locker room, there's probably be some changes this offseason.
I wouldn't even call it imploding. It was one time in the whole bubble. This is a story. And now everyone's like, oh, the Celtics hate each other. These guys who spend every waking minute with each other for 2+ months in a bubble in a like a staged Black Mirror episode type of environment, in something that is so bizarre and outlandish that nobody would have ever predicted this. You mean that they butted heads after one game in the Eastern Conference Finals against a very good competitive team when your competitive spirits, your adrenaline's fresh off the game, and now everybody hates each other? It's literally 2 seconds. It was like, what, a 20-minute top fight. Nobody swung at each other. Everyone was just yelling at each other. It's just like, if you're in a business meeting and then you have a very important business decision. Their decision is like, we need to win a game. And it doesn't get done. You're obviously going to like be mad at each other after the game. We don't know the details. We don't know anything. And then after all the game, of course, all the Celtics will be like, oh, we're fine. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm going to believe them. Because like I said,
okay, Tyler, stop. But
the whole season, everybody kept comparing the Kyrie Celtics to this year's Celtics, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're having so much fun. Oh, imagine this team. Like, this is what the Celtics are supposed to look like without Kyrie." And now they're bringing back Kyrie, being like, "This." It's just so unbelievably frustrating. You need to pay attention to the games before you need to like understand what's going on.
Tyler, this team fights. This team fights with each other, and you say, "Okay, it's a one-time thing." What happens when they go down 10-2 next game? And then this team is just like, you know what? Maybe, you start remembering that fight 2 days ago. You're 48 hours off of it. It's not like you're fighting and then it's a week later and, all right, that was a week ago. Like, this team could implode in game 3. This team could get wiped to the floor. And they're vulnerable. And the Miami Heat, even with these reports of saying it's a 20-minute fight, the Miami Heat know that. And you say Spoelstra's a good coach, he is going to make sure he exposes the Boston Celtics in game 3.
I don't think they're sweat. I still think this series goes 6 or 7. What happened last series when we were up 2-0 against the Raptors? The Raptors are done. And then the Raptors win game 3, and everybody was like, oh, the Raptors are about to win the whole series now. Why is it different with the Celtics? The Celtics, I think it's just because they're from Boston. Every single time something negative happens, it's like ESPN just punts the ball, and it just like, it's like, oh my God. I get so mad at the people who don't pay attention and just try to tell me why I'm wrong. When I understand why this is going to be a bad thing. I understand everything about, like, obviously I wish they didn't implode. Obviously I wish they won the game. I'm just trying to remain positive about this, saying if you think they're going to get swept, like, you're a clown. You haven't been paying attention. I still have them winning in 7. You tell me this team is just going to roll over and die after this entire year? We're missing open shots. We're having bad offensive stretches. We don't know how to play defense against the zone. I guarantee they're coming back. They're not getting swept. They're not losing in 5. It's going to be Celtics in 7.
That's all you're doing, dude. It's just you're ranting. You drink that green Kool-Aid. It's something else to be that dedicated Boston Celtic fan. It's just the writing's on the wall, dude. It's over. You got to let it go. It's done. It's not like it was a close game. It's not like it's a close game and it was back and forth. That team had it in control at halftime and they completely blew it.
You lost by 3.
You lost by 3 when you're up by like 20 points.
I don't think we should have lost, obviously. But people.
My point is, if you can't win a game like that, what game are you truly going to win in this series in 7? You're not. And they might steal a game they might win on game 3. They'll lose game 4. They're done. This is going to be Heat in 5. This is it. The Heat are a better, and they shouldn't be, because I think the Celtics are a better team. They have better players. But overall, I think the Heat have better depth. And I think that in the Heat, Spoelstra, everyone, we talked about this in our chat. Who's a better coach, Brad Stevens or Spoelstra? And I said Spoelstra is a product of Pat Riley. I think he's just a puppet boy of Pat Riley. And Brad Stevens is just a puppet boy right now of Danny Ainge. till these guys are on their own, doing their own thing, well, time will tell. But Spoelstra's a two-time champion, been to that finals 4 times with the Heat when he had LeBron. He's up to, I know it's LeBron, but he's up 2-0 right now. I'm telling you, the Heat are taking game 3. And this is a dedicated Boston biased fan. I'm telling you, the Heat are going for that sweep, and the Heat are going for the jugular and ripping the heart off the Boston Celtics team and their fan base. And I can't wait for next week, Tyler, when we film this and you just have no basketball anymore. It's it.
Well, that's
It's
kind of
done.
that's vindictive, Babs.
We're not going to.
You're actively rooting against your own team now to see Tyler be miserable.
I'm not even miserable. I'm just mad at the people. Like I keep saying, the people who don't know basketball, the people who have a Marcus Smart jersey and be like, oh, go Celtics, and they're like, oh, LeBron, like the people who are so, like Joe always says, NFL casuals, but the NBA casuals are the people that you just want to throw inside of a football and toss it like Mahomes and never see them again. I swear to God, NBA Twitter ruined all fun of NBA conversation. It's all these, oh, Embiid seasons or Tatum takeovers, these morons that don't know what they're talking.
I just don't get how they can like blow a lead like that and implode in the locker room, implode, quote unquote. But you're still here, like, you know, the Babs, like, oh, Babs is always the Patriots guy, because I'm the Patriot way and the Patriot guy because they've proven it time and time again. Okay, Brad Stevens and the Celtics have not proven anything. The Celtics haven't proven anything since 2008.
Well,
they haven't done anything.
How many times do you think that Brady and Belichick screamed at each other?
Oh, plenty.
They kept it under wraps, dude. It's like this is.
But they win. But they win. They win championships. They win championships.
Yeah, obviously, they're the best. Like
the Celtics haven't won a championship in a decade. They haven't done that.
If you want to play that game? What all-star have we had in our team that's going to help us win a championship? Obviously, the Kyrie years were a flop.
Jason Tatum.
Tatum is also 22 years old. This is his 3rd year in the NBA.
You keep making excuses all you want, but like you asked a question, I answered the question, and Jason Tatum's an all-star. Like you keep saying over and over again. I'm rooting for the Celtics. I'm a huge Celtics fan, but I also recognize realities, and the team is not together right now.
What NBA all-star has won an NBA a ring in his 3rd career, in his 3rd year? All this pressure's on these guys, and they're so young and they're so good. And yes, they should be winning. I know they've been winning. There has been nobody in their 3rd year in the NBA that's a prolific NBA talent that has won a ring. I think all this pressure's on him because he's exceeding expectations widely. He couldn't shoot a basketball out of Duke at all, and now he's one of the best shooters in the league, all NBA 3rd team.
Okay, so Tyler, I just got a question for you because we got to move on, dude. We can rant. This isn't.
Where's football?
This isn't the GRD pod, dude. If you want to talk basketball, go over to the fucking podcast. We want to. I'm gonna end this right here.
They don't advertise for it.
Listen, Tyler, start your own podcast about basketball only. Tyler, say this team gets swept, right? Let's just say, let's just debate, okay? Just a debate, okay? How's this affect Jason Tatum long-term for staying with the Boston Celtics? He's been here now a couple years saying, dude, this team, like, we just can't get over this hump. You got a guy like Marcus Smart doing the KG role, like, you know what? Fuck this guy. He knows what his talents are. What's stopping Jason Tatum now deciding, maybe I play another year? What's his contract? Because his contract's going to come up, in 2 years?
He's going to get a max extension this year.
He can. Yes, I understand that. But what stops him from saying, you know what? I actually want to go join somewhere else. Maybe I want to go play in LA for the Lakers, for the team I grew up loving.
In the NBA, people are acting like he's like a 10-year vet. And he keeps blowing it year after year, like
because of his talent. It's his talent and his future talent. You know what he has.
And you bet on that future talent. Jaylen Brown's been in the league for 4 years. Jason Tatum's rookie year, he's been to the conference finals twice. His rookie year, he made it. They had no business being there. But that's one of those.
It's also about how the team is ran. Like if the team's going to the Eastern Conference Finals every single year, maybe there's something else. Whether it's Wick, whether it's Danny Ainge, maybe even Brad Stevens. Maybe he doesn't like the coaching around him. He says, "I'm sick and tired of doing this every single year." Jason Tatum is a brand. He's a brand that's being built. And if he goes to a different market,
3-year brand.
Boston is not a big media market. We've said this over and over again, dude. Like Jason Tatum could be a big name in LA. I would rather see Jason Tatum go play for Doc Rivers. I think he'd be better there with the Clippers.
You're officially anti-Celtics. Like you're officially anti-Celtics now. Yeah, you are. You just said you want Jason Tatum to be a Clipper. That's what you just said. And first of all, you're talking about blowing leads. Doc Rivers is the only coach in NBA history to blow a 3-1 lead in a series twice. Only coach ever to do it.
Doc Rivers has an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics.
A decade ago.
Yeah, he still has a championship.
So the
Brad Stevens
Celtics. So
doesn't have-
what?
Brad Stevens doesn't have anything. Danny Ainge hasn't done anything
in
since
a
then.
realistic way, we should beat the Heat. Like, we shouldn't be down 2-0. We were up big both
You know
games.
what the problem is that you didn't release the Beat the Heat shirt on bostonsbig3.com/shop. If you released the Beat the Heat shirt, it would have got everyone excited. People would have went and bought it, and they would have won this
All right,
series.
well, when I release a Beat LA shirt, because that's what's going to happen, when we beat the Lakers in 7, then people are going to be buying the Tyler Miller merch Boston Celtics line. Trust me, this is happening.
You're
Next
delusional.
time we record, one is
You're delusional.
next Thursday, it's going to be tied 2-2.
I hope you're right, Tyler. I really do hope you're. I hope I'm dead wrong. I really do, but I just don't think I am.
I am 1,000% correct. This is coming back 2-2.
If the Celtics win the NBA championship, I'll get your Twitter name tattooed on myself, so I can tell everybody, "Go follow Tyler Miller."
In between your eyebrows to make it look.
You still owe me initials on your forearm or something, Babs.
I think I do something with the combine and getting picks right. Let's
Yeah,
move on
you
for
do.
basketball.
Patriots play the Dolphins, aka a JV NFL team. Look good though.
Okay, so here's my take on it. I kind of broke this down for me and Chris Matthews broke it down for 15 minutes on Stafford and Matthews. We talked a lot about this, but everybody's looking at Cam right now. Cam Newton's back. The Patriots are, on top again. Bill Belichick somehow swindles the league again. Love to hear it, one, but let's be realistic here. Cam Newton was 15-19 for $170 yards, no passing touchdowns. He should have a pass touchdown to N'Keal Harry. Runs the ball 15 times, 75 yards, 2 scores on the ground. In that situation against the Miami Dolphins, he excelled and he was effective and efficient. That's how I want to put it. Efficient is the right word to use. But until I see Cam Newton legitimately stay in that pocket, throw 35 plus passes, complete over 60% of those passes, and win the ball game, I'm not sold. And I think it's a very reasonable expectation to assume here because, yeah, you can clown the Dolphins like that running 15 times and passing only 19 times a game. But again, Sunday Night Football, Seattle Seahawks, Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner, no joke defense here. He can't do what he did to Miami, how he won the Miami Dolphins game. He needs to pass from the pocket, needs to be efficient from the pocket, and needs N'Keal Harry to step the hell up.
So I think that was a great preseason win for the New England Patriots. That was a great preseason win. Cam Newton, first of all, he wanted to score that rushing touchdown. And the chemistry that this team is building already, and you saw that on Sunday, there's something special with this team. They have to keep it going forward. Shout out to Cam Newton to give David Andrews the football and let him spike it. He's getting the trust of his center. The center that was supposed to be that we preached all offseason about him and Stidham. He's now saying, hey, you know what, DA, here you go, spike it. Andrews is so excited to be back this year. I think that this was a great game for the defense. Get a couple interceptions. Yes, it's the Miami Dolphins. I understand. This is preseason. The fact is, and I 100% agree with Joe, you can't have Cam Newton running around the entire year, but 15 for 19 for 155 yards, which he should have had a touchdown. It's not a bad day for Cam Newton's first NFL game in over a year and a half. And this is a Miami team that's not just rolling over to the New England Patriots. You got to have to respect Brian Flores because he was going against his old team. And you have to respect guys on that defense like a Kyle Van Noy and a Landon Roberts and all these guys that want to prove something. I mean, I'm going to spin it over here to Seattle. Seattle Seahawks gave up 450 passing yards to Matt Ryan. That's what you need to see out of Cam Newton this upcoming week. Cam Newton needs to throw for 300 yards. And you know what? Just continuing this conversation, football and Patriots, it was just funny because 2 days ago, whatever day it was, because I don't know when this is going to be released tomorrow, me and Roondog were texting at 5 a.m, delusional Babs. He's up and down all night because of the babies. And we started talking about Odell Beckham and saying there is a possibility that Odell Beckham could come. And I have the text messages to prove it. And then I filmed a video about it. And then all of a sudden the Twitter world went nuts because Allen Robinson, by the way, I don't want him. He's a 1-year rental. He was only doing that because he's trying to get a contract extension with the Chicago Bears. What he ended up doing was taking the Chicago Bears out of his Twitter bio. So then all of a sudden it was Allen Robinson to the Pats. Then it turned into Odell Beckham to the
Hold
Pats.
on a second, Babs. If say the Bears stink out loud this week, right? They get blown out the doors.
Don't
Allen
want
Robinson's
him.
bitching it
Don't
out. Everything.
want him.
You tell me
Don't
you wouldn't
want
trust
him. No, because
Babs,
Allen
give me a minute.
not
Hold on a second.
He's not because whatever you say is stupid, dude. He's not an instant impact player like
You
Odell Beckham would be.
Yes, he is. What
no,
are you
he's
talking
not.
about?
He's not Antonio Brown. Allen Robinson's not an Antonio Brown, and he's not an Odell Beckham. He's not someone that can just come in here and all of a sudden fit the piece. That's somebody that's going to come in here and be a Mohamed Sanu. It's going to take him a while to even understand the process and the offense around him because it's going to be too complex.
You are severely underrating Allen Robinson.
I am completely because I don't think he's that talent. He's absolutely not the top tier wide receiver talent that everyone thinks he is. And
He's a top 20 receiver.
Okay, that means he's not a top 5 wide receiver. Odell Beckham is a top 5 wide receiver in my mind. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's in a terrible spot right now with where he is right now with the coaching staff. I think Odell Beckham is a top 5 wide receiver. Yes, he is.
DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is hurt. He's out of the conversation.
Thomas is hurt. I know, but if you want to count him, he's better. Who else?
He's better.
Who else? Who do you have?
Allen Robinson is a 1-year rental that would not make an instant impact compared to an Odell Beckham who already has built chemistry with Cam Newton, who is already signed to a deal that the Patriots – where are all these fucking people coming out saying the Pats have no cap space? They have the cap space this
26
year.
mil.
They have the cap space next year. Some of that cap space has to get rolled over because of these opt-outs and COVID. I understand that. They have the ability to sign him. And then they're like, well, what do we give up? A first-round draft pick for the New England Patriots isn't bad because that pick is between 26 and 32, and that pick will end up getting traded down anyways, just like Belichick did this past year to get Kyle Duggar, a Division II player. The draft picks mean nothing to Bill Belichick. Give the Cleveland – and I was actively rooting for the Browns to lose because I wanted them to go 0-2, so it's more likely they give up Odell. I say if Cam Newton can throw for 300 yards and work with the receivers around him that he has now, you go out there and you give him a first and a third. Let them get whatever they want. Get Odell on that team, and that's going to be a huge difference maker because you have to keep up with teams of Kansas City and Baltimore. The Patriots will not win against those teams this year with the team they have right now. Can they pull up an upset? Absolutely. They've done it in the past, but they won't do it with the team that they have. They need an instant impact player, and I don't think it's Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson would be a player that, yes, if you want to trade for Joe Stafford, he's not making an impact until week 9. Like, I don't see him making an instant impact on that team till later on in the season.
I just disagree.
And I think that the number 1 buy is now so much more important. There's no more number 2 buys anymore. So this is every game is that much more important, especially when you have Kansas City at week 4 coming up. You need to beat them. You need to have that game over them. So that's why I said that Odell Beckham would be an instant impact player if they got him right away.
Was he instant impact in Cleveland?
Because of the coaching staff, comes down to coaching staff. It comes down to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. No, yeah.
He looked good with Eli.
Because Eli Manning wasn't good for the last 3 years of his career.
But he looked good with Eli when he was Eli a little bit younger and Tom Coughlin was there as the coach. That's a different story. Then you had a new coaching and then Eli is turning into an old man. I think Odell Beckham's talents are being completely wasted right now. You put him with Bill Belichick and Cam Newton, he's going to succeed. Can Allen Robinson succeed in the New England Patriots? Yes, he can, Joe, but I think Odell Beckham would have a much bigger impact right away.
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is you're shitting all over Allen Robinson for no good reason, like at all. Because he would be a great. He's
a 1-year rental.
But it wouldn't cost you a first-round pick, Babs. It cost you like a 4th-round pick. That's the takeaway.
Now we're talking about Cam Newton signing a multi-year deal. Like that's been on the table too. Wouldn't you want to get him a player that's already signed for multi-year?
Yes, I would. But Allen Robinson isn't a bad player. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Allen Robinson is not winning you a Super Bowl.
Neither is Odell.
Odell will win you a Super Bowl. Let's
make a bet right now then. If Odell Beckham Jr. is traded to the Patriots, within the next few weeks or whatever, right? What you're saying. $200 on the table. They win a championship or not this season, right now. Make the bet. $200.
They win a championship if
this
Odell
season.
is traded.
Yes, Odell. Only if Odell goes there. Odell comes to New England this year. They win Super Bowl. That's what you're saying.
Well, what week? Like, because it might not happen this week.
You set the terms.
I mean, I think that if they just get Odell Beckham whenever it is before the trade deadline.
If Odell comes to the Patriots before the trade deadline, they're winning Super Bowl this year. Yeah. That's what you're saying.
$250.
$250 right now. Yeah. Table right now. Agreed.
But if Odell doesn't come, it's falling annoyed.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
250.
Timestamp that, Tyler Miller.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Rocking that hangover, Tyler.
OBJ is good.
But first of all, if Allen Robinson comes to the New England Patriots, I'll get you an Allen Robinson jersey.
He's also
Thanks,
going to be
babe.
our wide receiver like 2.
Huh?
This is a weapon we could use. I don't think we're going to get him. I'd rather get OBJ. Obviously, I don't think.
So would I. But we're missing the point here. I was just defending Allen Robinson's stature.
You're going to give up for Robinson. Both would help this team out drastically.
But it's just not. It's different compensation. You're not getting a 4th-round pick in Odell Beckham Jr. You're getting a 4th-round pick for Allen Robinson. That's about it.
Here's a free $100 bill in OBJ, or I can give you the $5 bill in Allen Robinson. Either way, you're going to get a $1 bill. How much is it going to be worth?
It's $100 versus $80. It's not $5.
I just think that if a guy like
analogy.
Yes, maybe I'm severely underrating Allen Robinson. I just think that it's not enough time for him to come into New England, learn a system, get acclimated to everybody, where you already have someone that's been doing that in the offseason. That's why I was shocked with Mohamed Sanu. And it's like this guy was working with Cam.
Yeah, no, I'm still pretty pissed about that.
I'm completely shocked.
And
you know why? You know why they got rid of him, Joe?
Why?
Conspiracy. I need a tinfoil hat right now because you fucking got his coach on our podcast and he started talking about things, and then Bill Belichick found out about that and got rid of Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah, so
you are the reason why Mohamed Sanu is not on the
I will say, I actually talked to Drew. I texted him a couple weeks ago, right after Sanu got cut and everything. I was like, sorry to see him go, man. I'm just like, this is a shock to everybody. He was like, yeah, it's a shock to us too. Came out of nowhere. We think it's salary cap related reasons, but I do think it might have like a little bit of effect talking to the media because Mohamed Sanu was in every side session during training camp with Cam Newton, every single one. Every other player in the side session is starting on the offense right now.
Let me make a point because this is fresh in my mind. I saw this last night on Reddit. It was from the Dynasty. So the guy that wrote that book, The Dynasty, had a AMA, and they talked about the Malcolm Butler benching. And they said this, and this was another conspiracy theory that kind of holds a little weight, is that Malcolm Butler that entire season was leaking information to Mike Reese about the team, about the Brady Garoppolo situation. And Bill Belichick is the one person that if you leak shit to the media, you're dead to him. He does not want anything out there. So that's why he made an example out of Malcolm Butler. He said he would rather lose the Super Bowl and prove to everybody around him and say, you do this shit under my regime, I will cut you, I will never start you, I will never do whatever it is, right? That's Bill Belichick, and he's done that with plenty of players in the past. The first person to start talking about Malcolm Butler and get his perspective was Mike Reese. So Mike Reese and Butler had that. And I just think it's funny, and I think it's a little funny, Joe, that we had Mohamed Sanu's coach on here, and he's talking about the Jarrett Stidham news and this and that.
It's the ride the wave effect.
Ride the wave affects the Patriots a little bit with their news. It gets a little more rattled. They're trying to say, don't talk to these people. Don't have your coaching staff or your friends or your family talk to these people. Belichick doesn't want anything out in the media. So I think Joe Stafford got Mohamed Sanu fired. You got him cut. And now he's in San Fran with Jimmy G.
You're welcome, 49ers.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, but the point of the story was, before we go on, is that if Mohamed Sanu trained all season and in the Belichick's like, it just didn't work out. There's something more to it, but I just don't think that Allen Robinson is going to be able to make the instant impact. Will he make a long-term impact? Maybe. I just think Odell is a name, and he has the talent. He'd get the fans excited. He has a chemistry built with Cam Newton. And I think it's more of a thank you to Cam Newton. If he can show on Sunday in Seattle that he can throw 300 yards, that he can throw make 25 to 30 completions and throw 40 times with the receivers they have now, why not go out and get a top
that's what I'm waiting
receiver.
to see too. That's what I'm waiting to see too.
Because now you're investing in Cam Newton long term. Because if Cam Newton goes in Seattle and stinks it up, you don't want to invest in Cam Newton. You're like, yeah, we're not gonna.
Well, let's remember also, before the season started, when Cam Newton was actually talking to the Patriots, like a month before he actually signed, and we were talking about a multi-year deal, like on the table right away, and he said no. He wanted a 1-year deal to kind of prove his worth and see what his market is, right? So if they were interested before that, and then he goes into Seattle on Sunday Night Football, primetime TV, and throws 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, whatever it is, like, you're going to be seeing Cam Newton in New England for a long time.
Yeah, I think so too. And an egg on the face of Babs, because he has been dealing with this Jarrett Stidham week 1 stuff, and it looks good. But listen, if you go back and you listen to all our episodes, we've always said this, Joe. Stidham starts week 1 or 2, Cam Newton eventually takes over. It's like we've never been an anti-Cam Newton.
It's the Tyrod Taylor effect.
It's that we've never been an anti-Cam Newton, but can he survive 16 games? Can he take those hits? He can't do that. If you have a Miami game 16 games in a row, you're not going to be able to survive that. Cam Newton took some ugly shots, but I like this Cam Newton. I like the motivated Cam Newton, and I said this on a podcast when he went like this: if this
14-2.
they could go 14-2. They could. They have to beat Seattle, and they have to get another piece on that team on offense. They need one more piece.
All right, week 2 NFL. Let's check the records from last week real quick.
I just know right now.
Can we not?
I just know right now. First of all, Babs is in the lead. I know that by one game. I saw the record, and he picked the Washington football team last week to shock the world. The Washington football team that was down 17-0 came back and stormed, and they are 1-0, baby. And guess what? They're leading the division right now. If the season ended today, they would have the bye. They would be the number 1 seed. So shout out to the Washington football team.
Fuck the Washington football team.
6. I'm 8-7. Brandon and Joe are 7-8. We're all neck and neck.
I need to rant a little bit before this too, because that record should look a hell of a lot different. The Cincinnati Bengals drove down the field. Joe Burrow led them on a tremendous drive, threw the touchdown to AJ Green with 2 seconds left, and they call offensive pass interference. Not even in the same realm as that penalty. It was a ridiculous call, cost us the game, and then they kick a field goal and miss a field goal, obviously. And then the same fucking thing happens in Dallas. Dallas versus LA. Michael Gallup beats Jalen Ramsey deep, and then Jalen Ramsey suddenly Leonardo DiCaprio and fakes the offensive pass interference and costs them the game too. That record show could look a hell of a lot different.
I mean, either way, he'd still be in third. We all
Also, the Indianapolis Colts with the Babs parlay of the week screwed that up. Jacksonville Jaguars, Minshew mania. I
love
teams,
Gardner Minshew.
And now that the Bengals game and Browns game is officially over, teams with fans in the stands, they're 3-0 right now. Fans make a difference, huge difference in the stands. Just saying.
All right, so Brandon's not here. He's just gonna rattle off his picks of the week right here.
All right, my picks for NFL Week 2 go as follows. For Broncos Steelers, I'm taking the Denver Broncos to beat the Steelers. They failed me before, but I got the Broncos winning in Pittsburgh. And then for Rams Eagles, let's see. I'm going to take the Eagles, get their first win of the season. Rams got their first win. Kind of fluky last week. I think the Eagles and Carson Wentz get their first win of the season. And, Jaguars Titans. Jaguars made a lot of surprises. I guess they surprised a lot of people last week. No one expected them to win. I don't expect them to win again. Definitely rolling with the Titans here. Go 2-0. Especially Tennessee, I'm reading, has won 5 of their last 6 games against Jacksonville, so you can't go wrong there. Panthers Buccaneers. Buccaneers pick up that first win of the season behind Tom Brady and the revamped offense, even though I think, is it Mike Evans? Or Chris Godwin, one of their fancy wide receivers is out that game, I'm pretty sure. 49ers Jets. 49ers, they'll get back on track. They're a mediocre football team. The Jets are just the worst thing on planet Earth. They've never played a real football game since Super Bowl III. Bills Dolphins, got to roll with the Bills in that defense. Dolphins are a dumpster fire. Vikings Colts, rolling with the Colts this game. Rolling with the Colts, and Phillip Rivers to pick up their first win of the season at home against a Vikings team that was kind of blown out of the water against Green Bay last week. Indianapolis actually has 5 consecutive wins versus the Vikings. See if that goes to 6. Lions Packers, Matt Stafford. It's tough. It's tough wasting a great career up there in Detroit, but got to go with Aaron Rodgers and that Packers team that looks scary to start the season. But down to Falcons Cowboys, I'm taking the Cowboys to get their first win of the season. I just don't know much about the Falcons and whatever they're doing right now. I just think the Cowboys are a good football team this year, and I think they'll have a decent playoff run this year. Giants Bears, I think the Giants win this one against Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. And then the Washington football team versus the Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals. Taking the Cardinals go 2-0 versus Washington. Washington loses its first game of the season. Let's see. Chiefs Chargers. Man, we got a lot of forget how many games there are. Chiefs Chargers. Got to go with the Chiefs. They are reclaiming that Super Bowl title. They're defending it very well to start the season. I think they keep it rolling. I think everyone's got them winning it. I'm actually going to, for the next one, Ravens-Texans. I don't know what the guys picked yet, but I'm going to go with the Texans here. And Baltimore's won 13 consecutive regular season games. That streak ends Sunday afternoon against the Texans as Deshaun Watson and the boys get down to business and steal one from the Ravens. And then Patriots Seahawks got to roll with the Patriots here. Seahawks aren't going to have their 12th man in the building, which is really does take a man off the field for them. That defense is scary, especially when the visiting offense can't get any signals across. And then for Monday Night Football, Saints Raiders, I've got the Raiders losing their first game of the season and the Saints moving on to 2-0. So those are my picks. Back to you, fellas.
And yeah, so we're gonna go through game by game like we do every week, and we'll see what the records look like week 2. So Giants Bears week 1. Saquon Barkley's still very good at football, but he has 0 people to help him on offense. Trubisky's in a still must-win scenario for the whole season. Every game's a tryout at this point for him, it's looking like. So I'm picking Bears over Giants.
I'm going to take the Giants here, and you really discounting Darius Slayton and Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looked really good against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a phenomenal defense, and yeah, he had a couple turnovers, a little growing pain still, because he hadn't started a full season yet. Let's keep that in mind, sophomore year quarterback. But I think he comes out firing against this Chicago team. Chicago is lucky to be winners last week. Detroit had that game in the bag towards the end of the game, and without a drop from DeAndre Swift in the end zone, Uncle Matt Stafford and company would have had a W on the season. So I'm going with the Giants, and they pull it out.
Completely agree with Joe Stafford there. Giants on this game. I mean, Daniel Jones, a couple costly mistakes. That Pittsburgh team seems like they're back. Now Pittsburgh is going to be dealing with an injury on offensive line. But there's a couple points in that game where they should have went up, and the Giants should have won that game. Saquon Barkley is not going to have the same game that he just did. He's going to have the exploding game. And like you just said, the Bears should have lost to the Lions last week. I'm taking the Giants this week. Take them money line. That's one of the Babs dogs of the week.
Rams, Eagles. Eagles didn't look great against the Washington football team, and the Rams look good against the Cowboys. And because of that, I'm picking Eagles because it'll all look.
The Rams did not look good against the Cowboys. The Cowboys were just incompetent. The Cowboys were just incompetent that game.
What do you say after a win? Good game? What do you say? Bad game?
Fair enough. Anyway, I'm going to go with the Rams here as well. I think the Rams, and I want to make a point here because I said in every podcast, and I want to keep saying it over and over again. Jared Goff isn't good at anything football related. He's not. Elite-wise, he's just not good at football. But I am taking the Rams here. The defense is going to shock a lot of people. Jalen Ramsey in the back and Aaron Donald on the front. It's a no-brainer for me.
So Tyler's already going to be 0-2 in his picks. I'm taking the Rams in this game, and here's the thing. First of all, Babs gets credit because he took the Washington football team over the Eagles last week. If the Eagles had fans in the stands this week, they'd be throwing batteries at Carson Wentz. This guy got sacked eight times last week against Washington, and now he's going against Donald. Look at this report by JPA Football. There are reportedly some people within NFL circles that believe Eagles head coach Doug Peterson has reached his limit and will struggle with the Eagles from here on out. They were 8-point favorites against Washington, and they end up losing by 10. This is going to – hey, Babs, you always say, West Coast team coming to the East Coast, 1 o'clock game. This is a little bit different. The Rams take this game. And I also want to just say, in betting-wise, the Rams were favored by a point, and it just switched over to the Eagles today, and they're now favored by a point. Don't know why.
Well, it's probably the injury status of Miles Sanders. Like we said, Carson Wentz, and I want to make a point here. I'm a big Carson Wentz guy. Carson Wentz is not all responsible for that loss last week. His offensive line, like you just said, 8 sacks allowed. That's unacceptable. You can't play quarterback on your ass. That's not how it works. Miles Sanders is out. Boston Scott. Who the hell is Boston Scott? He was the leading rusher with 37 yards on 9 carries, something like that. It was embarrassing how little Carson Wentz had to work with.
The Eagles team's going to be bad this season.
It could be.
Falcons, Cowboys. I think the Falcons, I don't know. I never will bet with the Falcons. I just think they're the biggest fraud choking team in the entire NFL. They're a team that should be good every year, but they find a way to get in their own way and trip over their own feet. Cowboys bounce back. Pick Cowboys over Falcons.
Yeah, so this is the matchup of 2 of the worst secondaries in football. So it'll be interesting to see if Dak Prescott can actually make good on the 3,000-yard receiver promise he made in the offseason. I'm going with the Cowboys here. I think Zeke eats against this defense. I think Dak Prescott throws for 3 touchdowns.
So another Babs dog of the week. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. A couple reasons here. Number one, like Tyler was saying about, the Falcons are always a choke artist. And I agree in that extent too. So is Dak Prescott. This guy was begging for $40 million. and he's going to go 0-2 to start the season. Usually the Cowboys, like last year, they started like really, really hot. The one thing I saw, two things. Number one, Matt Ryan, he kept himself alive in that Seattle game. That Seattle team is Super Bowl bound. I think so. I think that the fact is that he tried staying in that game, shows some heart, shows some guts. That Cowboys team, 2-minute drill, they showed Jerry Jones up there, and he looked pissed off. I want to see a pissed off Jerry Jones this week at home, saying because Jerry Jones needs to move on from Dak Prescott. I don't think Dak Prescott is their answer in Dallas. I'm picking the Falcons in this game. Money line.
Panthers Bucks. Panthers are not great. They lost to who? Chargers last week.
No, they lost to the Raiders.
Raiders. Yeah, I knew it was LA. The LAs are always going to confuse me the whole year.
Well, it's Las Vegas.
What? Who's the other? Oh, Rams. See, there's too many lost somethings. Like, I just need San Diego Chargers.
Los and Los.
And St. Louis Rams. That's when it was all even. All right, but I don't see in any world that the Panthers beat the Bucks. So I'm picking the Bucks. Bounce back game for Brady. They played one of the best defenses in the league. And, of course, everybody, it was Belichick the whole time because we faced the Dolphins and they faced the Saints. But I'm picking Bucks over Panthers.
I'm going with the Bucks too. But I think you're underselling the Panthers a little bit. Teddy Bridgewater actually really good in his bounce back game from his injuries and stuff. And Christian McCaffrey, of course, looked like the best offensive weapon in the entire league once again. It was a close game against the Raiders. 34-30 was the final score. So don't sleep on the Panthers this year at all. But the Buccaneers will win this game.
The smart pick is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I just think that this is not a Tom Brady lost game. This is a Tom Brady Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl 52 game. This guy is going to come out there hungry, but it's going to come down to the grass isn't greener on the other side, TB12. TB12 cost them some of the mistakes last week, but TB12 isn't the one out there coaching special teams and defense. I think that Bruce Arians is going to lose control of this locker room this week. Remember, it's a divisional matchup.
Oh, Brady. Like that doesn't happen, calling out Brady after the game.
Yeah, and they just – I think Matt Gordon posted it or somebody posted on Ride the Wave and Brady's response, and he looked pretty pissed off. Now, I talked about it, and people are like, you don't know the Patriots. Belichick holds all players responsible. He does to their face. He doesn't do it to the media. When he talks to the media, Bill Belichick eats the responsibility as a coach, and then he does it as a team. Bruce Arians threw Brady under the bus. And it's probably saying, in his mind, thinking it's going to light a fire under his ass and he's going to play well. Well, Bruce, you still have to coach. Like, is Brady coaching special teams and defense? He's not doing that. I think that the Panthers win this game, shock the world, and the Bucs start 0-2, and the media, it just explodes about Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay.
49ers Jets. The Jets stink out loud. Sam Darnold, he's so overrated. Like, I know he's a young quarterback. He has all the tools. He doesn't have anyone to help around him. I will refuse to buy Sam Darnold stock. And the 49ers, I think, are just significantly better than the Jets. I think this is another easy pick, 49ers over Jets.
Yeah, I think I had the Jets in the high 20s in my power rankings before the season started, and I'm really tempted to put them at 32 now because after that performance last week, it was really embarrassing. And I've been a Sam Darnold defender to a lot of my friends in every group chat and everything. Like, hey, give him some time. He has nothing to work with, no line, no weapons, no anything. And Le'Veon Bell is hurt again. His hamstring's like out of the window. He's not going to be there for another 3 weeks anyway. So the Jets are looking down a very, very dark tunnel right now. The Niners are going to kick their ass on Sunday.
Completely disagree. A couple of reasons. I'm picking the New York Jets. Number one, for the San Francisco 49ers, Kittle is hurt. He might not even play this week. Richard Sherman's on the IR. I think, again, the West Coast playing the East Coast team at 1 o'clock. I think San Francisco is very fraudulent. And I think coming off that Super Bowl loss, I think this team's going to hurt. There always is that big upset of the week. This is the big upset of the week. The Giants are San Francisco 49ers, are favored by 7 points. What happened last week? I said the Arizona Cardinals are going to beat them. If it's going to catch them on 1 week, it's going to be that week. I think the Jets with Sam Darnold, they're going to have to win games here and there. They have to. Can San Fran, should they win this game? Absolutely. I just think that it's going to be the upset of the week. I think Sam Darnold's going to look good. I know you said Bell's hurt. Frank Gore, Frank the Tank, still doing it, is going to score 2 touchdowns this game against his former team against the 49ers.
I didn't realize you moved next to a dispensary, Babs.
I just have no sleep. Actually, the mom has no sleep. I've been lucky to get sleep. But it's going to be the Jets.
Broncos, Steelers. Like, my heart says Steelers. I kind of want to – I'm picking Broncos. I mean, they had no business of even, like, being in that game because Gauci last week just missed every single kick. except the game winner, of course. But I don't know. I like Drew Lock. They have KJ Hamler didn't even play yet at Penn State. I hope he does something. What's that guy? Jared Judy. He's on Denver, right? There's so many young receivers. Who's the Vegas one?
Portland Sutton.
Yeah, I'm picking Broncos. Mainly because
So I actually am a big fan of the Broncos as well. I think down there with Noah Fant, Drew Lock, Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, there's something there, and they'll be a very good team in just a couple of years. Just give it some time. I'm not going to pick them here. And there's a couple reasons why, but number one is just the Steelers defense, the new Iron Curtain led by Minkah Fitzpatrick and company. I mean, this is a scary, scary team. And actually, I was surprised to see Ben Roethlisberger do as well as he did last week. He looked very, very rusty in the first quarter, but after that, the training wheels were off. He looked like the old Big Ben, minus 30 pounds. So this Steelers team could be for real this year.
Yeah, I just think that whoever they just lost on the offensive line, that's gonna be a big hurt for Big Ben. But I think they win this game. They looked a little sloppy at first. They got their shit together. I think they start the season 2-0. A lot of sense of urgency for Pittsburgh as well too. When you have the Baltimore Ravens that are going to be cruising this season, this should be a win for Denver. For Pittsburgh. It's 7-point favor for Pittsburgh. I don't know if they'll actually cover that or not, but I'm saying they take it money line.
Jags, Titans. The Jags are going to remember that they're trying to tank, and the Titans, I don't know, this is their window to do anything in their franchise right now. So I think Titans start out the year 2-0. Jags go down to 1-1 after beating the Colts. And I don't even think this game's close.
I'm going to pick the Titans too, but I really hope I'm wrong because I'm a huge Gardner Minshew guy. I really want to see Gardner Minshew just give the biggest middle finger possible to that front office and ownership because it is no secret they want to tank this season. They made all moves in the latter part of free agency, the latter part of training camp to make sure this team was not successful. And Gardner Minshew's looking them dead in the eye saying, bet. That's all he's saying because last week upsets Phillip Rivers and company in Indy, and that was a huge spread, I think, Babs, in the parlay. And Gardner Minshew is just really motivated to say, I want to captain this team for a very, very long time. He's motivated. I hope he wins, but I don't think he will. I'm going with the Titans.
Last week the Colts were 7.5-point favorites against the Jags. This week it opened up at 9.5 for the Titans. It went down to 8, and now it's 7. Every day it's going down a point. I'm picking the Jags straight up. I think Minshew mania is a real deal, but he's also trying to say F you to the Jacksonville Jaguars and all those fan base that think, hey, we're tanking for Trevor Lawrence. He'd rather screw the team out and say, no, you guys are getting the 3rd overall pick and not the 1st overall pick because you have to keep me. And now you're going to keep me here as your quarterback and get me somebody or get something around me. And just think of this. I think the Jags, and I'm going to get ahead of myself, are going to start 3-0 in the season because we don't pick Thursday night games. And the next Thursday night game is Miami at Jacksonville. And I think that Jacksonville has the opportunity to win that game as well, too. I think the Minshew mania is going to shock the world to start the season. And it's 1-0, 1-0 teams in the same division. I don't think the Titans are going to hurt too much if they lose this game. And that's why I think Jags are going to fire on all cylinders. I would take them. And if you're betting, I'd just take the points for the Jags.
Lions, Packers. The Lions will always find a way to just lose football games. Their entire history is winning, fumble it at the end. Aaron Rodgers looked good last weekend. I don't know. I'm going to go Packers. I'm picking too many favorites, I feel, though. I'm going Packers.
Aaron Rodgers is starting his MVP campaign. He started it last week against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, threw for 4 touchdowns, 400-plus yards. Devontae Adams had a great game as well. The Packers are not going to slow down. I think they might go 14-2. This is a legitimate team, good defense. Jair Alexander looks unbelievable, top 2 cornerback in the league, and maybe not 2. And so when I look at it that way, I think there's no way the Packers lose this game.
I said last week the Packers were underdogs. You don't bet against Aaron Rodgers week 1. This week, I'm still picking the Packers. I picked them money line. They're 6.5-point favorites. This will be a very close game. Lions and Packers like to play each other. It's either going to be a blowout, complete blowout, or it's going to be a close game. I'm going to give the Lions some credit because they're fighting their dogs. I thought this was going to be the Lions finally pick it up, and Matt Patricia finally looks good. They're going to start their season 0-2. Rodgers going to start 2-0, and like Joe Stafford said, the MVP campaign, he's got to compete against guys like Russell Wilson. Old man Rodgers, he can do it. He's like Brady. What age is Rodgers right now? 30. He's got to be 38, 39.
He's not 39.
What is he, 36?
I think he's 34.
He's not that young. No way. He's
36,
older.
36.
36. Okay. So he's getting into, towards his end of the career, and it looks like he's going to get replaced. His replacement's there. Like I said, it's like the Brady Garoppolo thing. They got somebody under him. Maybe it lights a fire under Aaron Rodgers' ass, but they win the game this week.
Bills, Dolphins. Bills are good this year. Dolphins are not. Picking the Bills.
Yeah, not a lot of explanation here. The Dolphins looked horrendous last week. Fitzmagic threw, 3 interceptions and just looked incompetent on offense. The pieces aren't there for Miami offensively this year, but defensively they can put something together, I think, later in the season. But right now I'm going with Buffalo.
It's kind of cheap shots at the end of the game there. I know Cam Newton plays with some fire in his belly. That Miami team, very disrespectful to rip Cam Newton's chain off. We don't know more about that. But
Kyle Van Noy started it too. Former Patriot.
And that picture that I posted of him shoving him, I'm very sad about Kyle Van Noy. And you know what? I'm saying this on this podcast. You can timestamp it. Kyle Van Noy is a perkhead, and he's always been a perkhead, and I know this for a fact. Bab has sources around him. You can laugh, Tyler Miller. I've said this, and it's been documented, that in 1 year time, Kyle Van Noy is going to get caught with a bunch of Percocets down in Miami because he has all this money, and he is going to go to rehab. I'm not joking with you. You ever see him when he does his interviews, and he's just like, hey, what's up, man, like this? And I always thought he was high as fuck and smokes weed. He is a pillhead. I'm telling you, and I've heard that he was like that since college. So no better place to go get overpaid in the drug capital of the world of Miami. Kyle Van Noy, what he did to Cam and instigated it, and I posted my feelings about that. I am done with you. I'm dead to you. I have his jersey somewhere still. I'm going to burn it. It was my first ever Color Rush jersey. Bills 5.5 this week. You take that. They're going to get dominated, the Miami Dolphins.
Vikings, Colts. Battle 0-1 teams, but they're each pretty – they each have the pieces to be decent this year. I'm going Colts.
That was a bad pick. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings.
Pick up Hines, and I'm really hoping Hines does well this year. So, I'm picking Colts over Vikings.
I mean, Hines' talent. I think he's a good overall running back and returner. But I think the Vikings have the pieces there. I think Kirk Cousins is a little ticked off because of how bad he performed in the first half of that game against Aaron Rodgers and company. Second half, he turned it around, looked a little bit better through 2 touchdown passes. I think he had 250 yards. But I really do think the Vikings come out swinging this time. I think Adam Thielen has a couple touchdown catches.
I think this game is a complete coin flip. I've been looking at this game nonstop for 2 or 3 days now, and it really, really, really could go either way. I will take Indianapolis Colts in this game. Rivers is such a choke artist, and I hate to even pick Indy in this game. But you're in a dome now. You're not in that hot weather out there in Jacksonville. This is your season almost. Rivers loses this game and goes 0-2. We hyped him up. We said this was a good fit. I don't know if that team is going to actually
bring on Brissett.
I don't know if that team's going to turn it around. And I don't really blame Rivers. I mean, he went 36 for 46, 363 yards, but he did throw 2 picks last week. He had a touchdown. He still has something, but this is the week you got to figure it out. And I'm going to pick Indy. I'm going to pick Indy this week.
Washington at Arizona. Arizona comes off beating the 49ers, but I think they lose to Ron Rivera. The Washington Ron Riveras. I think someone said it here, something like that. I don't know. I picked the team formerly known as the Redskins.
Tyler, as soon as you said you're picking too many favorites, you made 2 bad picks in a row, just for the sake of not picking the favorites here.
Records, man.
Huh?
How does the back of my projections look?
Hey, all I'm saying is week 1's the hardest week to predict anything. Literally, anything.
Okay.
Week 1, you don't know what the teams are.
We'll see the records after this.
All right, sounds good. I'm going with Arizona because I'm not a moron.
All right.
I do like that Ron Rivera has that win last week was awesome. It shows that even if they do struggle this year, because they're expected to, they're going to be a fighting team. And you got to give Ron Rivera some time. Once they rebrand the Washington football team, once they give him a little bit more of the keys to the kingdom, that was such a earned victory, not for the team, but for Ron Rivera as a head coach. I'm glad that he got that. I'm glad that he left Carolina, that kind of imploded down there, and he got a win with the Washington football team. I am picking the Cardinals because they're the Cardinals. They're going to be such a better team than what they were last year. Start the season 2-0. But I will say the Washington football team will, A, have a lead in this game, and it will come down to the wire at some point where they have a possession, where they have a chance to win the game. I will give them that credit.
The only lead I see them having is a 3-0 lead at the beginning of the game.
Oh, they'll have a lead in the game. They'll have a lead in the game.
They'll
have a lead in the game.
Ravens, Texans. I don't think the Texans are going to be good this year at all. So I'm just gonna go Ravens.
I'm picking the Ravens here. Shout out to, first of all, Randall Cobb. If you haven't checked out the episode, Stafford and Matthews, Randall Cobb actually appeared on the show with us, had a great conversation about the NFL, social justice even too, about their statement before the game on Thursday night to open the NFL season. But I am going to have to go a pick against Randall Cobb, even though I love him. I'm going with the Ravens here. Lamar Jackson looked great in his debut last week. I think he continues his success this week.
It's unfortunate that the Houston Texans have back-to-back bad matchups, Kansas City, and then you end up having Baltimore, and you gotta pick Baltimore in this game, absolutely hands down. Houston, I think having these two tough games out of the way, they're not dead out of the water just yet. Let them develop over time, but you got to go with Baltimore.
Chiefs Chargers, another one of those easy games. So, is anyone picking the Chargers?
No.
Chiefs, easy.
Chiefs all around.
Now, Patriots Seahawks. My fandom wants to tell me Patriots, but realistically, I don't see us beating Seattle. So I think I'm gonna have to pick the Seahawks.
My dad crucified me on text after I picked the Seahawks on Stafford and Matthews. I'm doing it again. I'm going with the Seahawks here. Russell Wilson continues his MVP campaign. It's going to be him and Rodgers, I think, neck and neck the entire season. I'm going with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
So, again, this is not being biased. Babs, the Patriot fan, I'm obviously picking the Patriots in this game, and I've talked a little bit about before the picks. I think a couple things. Number one is that there's no 12th man. There's no fans in that stands. If there was fans in that stands, I'd pick against the Patriots in this game. Number two, this is a great test to the defense. Can you contain Russell Wilson? You know this is going to be a Super Bowl-bound team. Can you contain Russell Wilson? Can you make him look stupid out there? Number three, Cam Newton. He's got that chip on his shoulder. You want to go prove something to the world on Sunday Night Football on national television? This is your opportunity to do it. As we've already said, Cam Newton's got to throw the ball a little bit more, and I think it comes down to the coaching. It's going to be it's going to be a closer game, but I thought it's going to be 27-17 or something like that, 28-17. I think it's going to come down to that where the Patriots win. I think they're going to look good. It's going to be one of those things. At the end of the day, Sunday Night Football, Brady's 0-2, Sunday Night Football, and the Pats are 2-0. And the media on Monday is going to go absolutely bananas. I can't wait for it. Should be a great game, though. And even if the Pats lose, I'm not going to be upset. This is a tough team. But I do feel I think the stat was, I think this is the first time in over 65 games that the Pats are actually underdogs. Like, that's bananas. Also, the death game. Bill Belichick just lost his mom this past week. They ain't losing this one. They're doing it for his mother. The team is doing it for his mom. Do not bet against that.
Monday Night Football, Saints Raiders. This is another one of those layup games. I don't know. Raiders look good. Saints defense looks better. I think it's Saints easy.
I think the key here that we don't really have the access to is the health of Michael Thomas. He had a high ankle sprain last week. And he's still questionable to doubtful to actually play in the game. That's a big loss for the Saints offense, obviously. But I'm going to go with the Saints still. I just think Drew Brees outduels Derek Carr.
My gut and my head says you should be going with the Saints, but the Babs dogs of the day, you got to go with Las Vegas Raiders. It's their first game in Las Vegas, even though there's no fans there. Gruden, former Monday Night Football connoisseur. This is just going to be his home. And I think the Michael Thomas thing does come down to it. I think the Raiders will win this game. No offense to Drew Brees. I think it'll be a nice, classic, fun Monday Night Football game. Both teams are 1-0. It's not like it's going to hurt the Saints going forward anyways. I think it's going to be the Raiders. Babs is going to go 16-0 in his picks this week.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up the football stuff?
The Washington football team needs an actual name.
Yeah.
My final
talk about before we wrap up.
I just want to say about football in general, very awkward to be at home instead of being out this week for the first time in 3 or 4 years, and not be there for week 1 for the Patriots. I will say this. I was so against the there's no way they're going to finish the season. They will figure a way to finish the season. They killed – I know Caden Bodak's 28%. They're down 28% in the ratings, and maybe that's because of the kneeling and the national anthem, Black Lives Matter. They still killed it in the ratings. They're still pulling in money. even with no fans there, this product is going to last the entire time. Even if it gets down to a point where they have to cancel halfway through the season, they take whatever top teams, they put them in a bubble. They will make sure that this gets done. It's a little weird seeing the product. And now fans are starting to open up. I heard the Colts are going to have 7,500 fans in Indy. I know Joe Stafford sent that to me. You have other teams that are going to slowly open things up. Like last night, the Browns had fans there kind of spread out. I would not attend a game that's spread out like that. You need to be jam-packed with everybody. I just can't watch. I'd rather just sit at home and watch it. But it was week 1. It's preseason. Week 2, it's still things are figuring it out. Give this once we hit October and we start hitting October football, we're going to see some fun games.
Joe, any final thoughts?
Nope.
All right,
Not at all.
I'm taking one for me and one for Joe. One, like I said at the top of the show, the Boston Celtics are fine. The Boston Celtics are fine. It was 2-0 Bucks against the Raptors last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Raptors won the whole thing. If history repeats itself, and if we've seen anything on this bubble, is that it's all about comebacks. It's never about getting too high. Like every single game, there's gonna be a comeback. Nuggets did it twice. Believe in Boston. Believe in Brad Stevens. Believe in Tatum, Kemba, everybody. The Boston Celtics are gonna come back and win this. Next time you hear our voices on this show, it's gonna be 2-2 in the series. And my second final thought is Penn State football is back. Big Ten is back. Yeah.
Matt Fryermuth's back.
Yeah, so he's not gonna be on the show for a minute, but. I don't know. Football is back. Football is fine. Like, all this mumbo jumbo with the election season's about to be coming around the corner. But just remember, we have football. We have basketball. Who cares about baseball? And I guess hockey. But sports are coming back. We're good. Boston's Big 3. Check out our website soon. New merch line. But yeah, Boston's Big 3 episode. I forget what it was. 73? Question mark? But yeah, we'll catch you guys eventually.